Okay, so in this article, they speak about how the status of a sibling affects the other sibling, whether it's the older sibling or the younger sibling. But then they also have an age gap that they want to, not age gap, they have an age range that they want to focus on. So they're really focusing on 4 to 12-year-olds, and one of the siblings, whether it's the younger or the older sibling, has to be from the ages of 7 to 8. So the age gap is either from 3 to 4 younger or older, um, or 1 to 2 years younger or older. So they subcategorized into 16 different categories, but they wanted to focus on how it really affects the siblings and like their behaviors in the sense of whether they were more positive, negative, or neutral to different situations when they were put into them. Um, the children were they wanted to this study wanted to focus differently than other studies because other studies focused more on younger siblings, so siblings that were in preschool or infants, and they wanted to see in this study if it differed if the children were a bit older since they were school age children. And they had found research that had said that school age children tend to be more competitive or more present in the situations since they're older and able to understand more, and they have to do more things, which causes more competition between them. Um, and these were all children in suburban no, they were all children urban in urban elementary schools from 4 different schools. Okay, and then the methods, what they did is that they videotaped the children doing 3 different subcategorical um subcategorical tasks. So one of them was that they had to work in groups with like a bunch of siblings. The second one is they had to work with their sibling together to get something done. And in the last one, the siblings were working against each other, so they wanted to see how the competitiveness amongst the siblings affected them, which was different than most, especially since when in the other studies it was younger kids and they couldn't do that as much. But they recorded the behaviors, and they recorded like the actions and like the actual tasks, how they got them done. And then they separated it into the 16 subcategories of the study. And then for the results, they found that in the results, um, in both the previous studies and the study now, girls either way were more of teachers to their younger siblings if they were the older sibling, and boys were more aggressive to their sibling, is most especially in older to boy ratio when they were same sex. But they did find that there was a lot more cheating or negative behaviors and aggression towards each other of siblings, no matter what it was, whether they were the same sex, different sex. The older one was 7 to 8, or the younger one was 7 to 8 years old. If they had a bigger age gap, if they had a smaller age gap, they were tended to be more aggressive towards each other. But when they would work together, they would work really well together, and the boys would have mostly neutral behaviors and would work kind of like and play with each other when they were getting things done, which was very productive. And then girls were more likely to actually be positive towards another and praise them on how they were doing and how well they were doing. um and in the case where the 7 to 8 year olds were the younger sibling, they showed to be more gratitude and joyful. They were more easygoing in working with their other sibling, and they had more self-deprecation, meaning that they were more modest about the criticism of themselves, and they worked well. In general, they worked better together. And the study found that in comparison to other results, other studies, the while the sibling status was different, and in this scenario they were recorded in a school without their parents present, and in other studies the parents were usually present, which also caused the behavior to be different among the siblings. um and they found that the age gap didn't really made a big of a difference, but not that much since it was still so close together. So they think that if they were to understand how siblings like act with one another, this one was better, but it would have been even better if they would have had like more separate age gaps. Um, I'm gonna use this article because it talks more in depth on my topic based on how siblings rivalry and how the reaction between the two being more competitive is greater when the siblings are working against each other.